on pole position. Pat Duffy, who's second quickest, is on pole. Second quickest is first place in the championship.
So there they go. You're ready for the red lights any moment now. Flick to green and off they do. It's head down towards Shell Corner, a corner that has seen many Formula Ford incidents in the past. Hopefully today it'll be clear. Number 71 then on pole position are ready to go. Martin Boyle, and there they go. Boyle makes a beautiful start, as indeed he has all season. Pat Duffy is in second place. Then McMerrigan, number 8 there in third. Alan McGarrity trying to squeeze in fourth, but it's very tight stuff. And that's Vivian Daly trying to go round the outside there in one of the Mondiales. He's up into fourth place. And in fact, that was a big one. And I'm afraid...
I think it's Mick Merrigan went over himself, and Vivian Daly touched wheels and Mick's rolled. And into the lead, Martin Boyle, car number 71 in the Mondiale. Second, Pat Duffy, championship leader in the Crossle, the very elderly Crossle.
So, Martin Boyle then, and Pat Duffy way out ahead at the moment because of that incident at Boac, which is difficult to see on our camera position, but there it is. Martin Boyle, the Mondiale, in the pallet supply car. A very competent driver indeed. In second place, Pat Duffy. Then in third, it's the Crossle, number 5 of Alan McGarrity. And then we have Vivian Daly. So Vivian Daly was clear of that incident. Number 45 there is James Rowe, just going through the picture. They now have to complete the first of 15 laps of the Shell Oils final.
Corner, indicating to the drivers that there's an accident, that some form of incident has taken place, and that we saw.
And incidentally, a driver cannot overtake under a yellow flag situation. If he does, he's disqualified from the results. But not affecting these two at the moment. Pat Duffy, what an incredible story this Navan farmer has put up this year. He leads the Motorfox Championship with this 6-year-old Crossle, and it's really just purely out of skill. He's a former Formula Ford champion, runner-up in the Formula 2000 Championship, but really keeping the pressure on the younger men there. Martin Boyle.
He certainly is, and Alan McGarrity hasn't let up either, so the possibility what we'll see here is Martin and Pat might slow each other up and give Alan the chance to catch in. Pat Duffy, in fact, has his engines home built by Frank Halfpenny, and he really was telling me afterwards that it makes a big difference to this elderly car. He needs every little bit of horsepower he can get.
And he's been challenged very strongly indeed now, because Duffy, really having a look down the inside there, is coming out towards the long approach to Duckham's Bend. The bumps are very critical at this point of the circuit. Boyle has a very side as he goes in. Pat Duffy trying the later line to get more impetus as he comes out, and a real Formula Ford ding-dong battle on our hands.
Yes, and no better man to lead the race with such consummate control as we see here is Martin Boyle. Martin has driven every car. Martin has raced all throughout Europe, in the UK, in the highest levels of Formula Ford motorsport. Martin has raced, very experienced pilot. If Pat's to beat him, he's got to think doubly fast, doubly quick, and I think just get a little bit of break of luck, because I think Martin is not going to let up that lead come hell or high water.
Very much the amateur there, Pat Duffy, a farmer who has been dashing from the circuit during the weekend to try and take advantage of the little bit of good weather that we've had. Now he tries on the outside of Shell, now back, but this is all enabling the Works Crossle there of number 5, Alan McGarrity, to close right up on these three, and from a 2-car battle it's become a 3-car.
Yes, as I said, I thought they might slow each other up. Now Alan's getting rather frustrated. We can see him was waving his fist in the cockpit. At this stage he doesn't want to get embroiled in a confrontation with Pat. He wants to get up into the leader, so really what he should do is take the heat off Pat Duffy and let Pat pressure Martin, and if he could just sit in third place and hopefully pick up the result of a contretemps between first and second place.
And this is just the sort of situation that Martin Boyle wanted, because Pat Duffy has to look at his rear now as well as the situation ahead, because this charging Alan McGarrity, son of the famous Patsy McGarrity, is a very quick man indeed. The Northern Ireland champion last year. There's Vivian Daly coming up also, and a real little dogfight coming up into Shell here. You've got the man who won the B final there yesterday in the middle of all that, Mick Dillon. Back with the leader, down into Shell once more. They've now completed 4 laps of this 12-lap bracket.
I think Pat has just that little bit of extra speed of these four drivers here, because he's pulled away again from Alan McGarrity in just that half lap, and I think he's pulling back up onto Martin Boyle. Martin knows he's going to drive a tactical race now. He must come to terms with it that probably Pat's going to be that little bit quicker, so he's going to drive as smooth and as cleanly as he can, and then as soon as Pat gets up on his tail, delay him a little, so Alan McGarrity attacks Pat Duffy, so Martin gets away again. So it's a real game of chess we have here, I think.
And a very interesting situation brewing up just behind them, because you've got Vivian Daly closing in and Eddie Irvine closing in. Eddie Irvine, one of the startling young stars last year. You're looking at Vivian Daly, who won no less than 3 Formula 4 championships here in Ireland last year. Brother, of course, of the Grand Prix driver Derek Daly. We're going to see this first lap incident again. It was Mick Merrigan, who's the third or fourth of those cars, the blue car just going into the left-hander. It's Vivian Daly down the inside, and these two tangle, David.
Yes, it's Mick just taking the outside line, pulling in, Vivian trying to go down the inside, and we can see the blue car flip up into the air and go on its side, and as we see it there, the blue smoke, that's the Reynard of Mick Merrigan, who's service engineer at Mercedes-Benz, going along on 2 wheels there. I don't know whether it looks as if it comes back down on all 4, but we can't see.
And amazingly, the entire field funneling through on the inside. Nobody else involved in that one. And I would imagine that Mick is perfectly okay, because it seemed it came down on all 4 wheels. 71 then. Martin Boyle the leader. And look at this battle for second place. Pat Duffy, number 5 behind him. Alan McGarrity. Then the closing Vivian Daly. And then number 18 behind that again, Eddie Irvine. And those are the ones that matter in this Shell Super Oils final.
Martin doing a tremendous job in the Mondiale, only a new chassis manufacturer. They used to work with the Crossle company, now they've got their own. And Mark's putting in a tremendous performance as he's sliding the car beautifully. As I said, he's very, very experienced. He's ex-Formula 4 champion. He's raced from Brands Hatch to Silverstone throughout Europe, and now he's racing here again at Mondello Park. He's lying third in this championship, Shell Super Oils Championship, so it's very important for him to win this race.
These top 5 have really broken away from the rest. Next up is John Murphy, but he's a long way back. It's a second race back down the field there, as these 5 really battle it out, but very much in control of the situation at the moment. Martin Boyle, 6.5 laps completed now out of the 15-lap race.
And there's our first 3. Martin Boyle leading, Pat Duffy second, and third place, still putting the pressure on, is Alan McGarrity. Again, a great Irish racing family, son of Patsy McGarrity. There's a whole rake of McGarrys in it, and I think Alan has got a great career ahead of him.
We saw Eddie Irvine really trying at the outside of Castrol there. He had the 2 wheels right up over the curbs. He's on holiday, actually, from his racing career in England, this young man from the north. And he came down to watch at Mondello, and the man who bought this car, he used to own it last year, all from Hector Lester, very sportingly let this very talented young driver take it over for the weekend. And here he is battling it out for the final.
It looks like Pat is beginning to settle down a little. He's pulled up a bit closer again to Martin, but it's taking him so long to pull in that distance. But these cars are so well balanced, and they all can lap in within a few tenths of each other. If you lose a second, it might take you 4 or 5 laps to pull that second in again. And a second is just what, a matter of 15, 20 yards. So we've seen Pat now wrestle for the best part of 3 or 4 laps to gain that small disadvantage that he lost when he had to fend off Alan McGarrity's attack.
And let's not underestimate the performance of this man, number 44, Pat Duffy. He is driving a 6-year-old car compared to everyone else in that scrap who are in the very latest machinery from Crossle and Mondiale. And Pat Duffy, who leads the major Irish Formula 4 Championship, the Motorvox Championship, by 2 points from Alan McGarrity, with Martin Boyle a further 2 points adrift, has done that performance by having 3 final wins here this year. A truly magnificent performance.
Indeed, exceptional. I was just talking to Pat just before this race, as he was putting air into his tires, and he's right on the tail of Martin now. Martin is going to have to watch very closely his mirrors. He's taking the inside line and holding Pat out. Pat was telling me that he was going to get set up to go across to the Formula 4 Festival in England, which is the great festival for motor racing drivers in Formula 4, and if he could do any way well in that, would certainly mark him as a man for the future. And he's already marked as a man for the future. If he could get himself upgraded now into a newer car, I think we could see miracles being performed by this driver.
They're on the lap of this 15-lap race. and literally any of these three can win. A nice close-up of the Protector Cars sponsored Crossle there of Alan McGarrity, and he's well in the hunt and well on the Boyle. A man who has been very successful in recent times. Irish Driver of the Year last year. Pat Duffy tries a dive in the outside. A little bit reckless, maybe.
No, I think he's actually just trying to psych Martin up to keep Martin looking in his mirrors. If he can really put the pressure on Martin and make Martin overheat his wing mirrors, as it were, just hoping that Martin will make one small slip, and that's all that's required. I think we've got a 12-wheel racing car here. There isn't anything split between these three cars.
Alan McGarrity in a very strong position here. He can watch this scrap develop. He can watch Duffy attack and counter-attack, and he can just sit there. He's got plenty of time yet. They're coming up to complete their 10th lap when they complete this lap, and then it's another 5 laps to go. And anyone with a bit of experience in Formula Ford knows the whole business is to leave it to the end for your major attack, and it's going to be superb. There's Daly with them, and there's number 18, that young man Eddie Irvine, also closing the gap.
Alan McGarrity dropped away just a few lengths there again. Pat's really piling the pressure off. I think he's just a little bit better at late braking into this corner than Martin, so he just managed to get on his tail, and he gets out of this corner fairly quickly to have a run at him into Duckham's. We watch him here as they go through BOAC. It's a 3rd gear corner, exit the corner, and they'll select 4th gear for the run down to the fastest corner in the track, Duckham's corner, down to 3rd gear for this corner. And then for the second part of the corner, they'll select 2nd, and it pulls them up the hill into the Esso complex. Martin sliding the car there really bravely with tremendous skill and panache, still controlling the race. Pat dropped back a little there, dropping into the clutches of Alan McGarrity.
So Pat Duffy really having to leave the braking late there to close that gap once again. And what's really transformed these older cars is they're all on Dunlop tyres. It's a controlled tyre in this formula. They changed the makeup of that tyre a couple of years ago, and it really seems to have evened things up much more. And Crossle 35Fs, which, as I say, were built 6 years ago, are now back in the hunt with a good driver like Pat Duffy aboard. And here they go. Really look at this. Vivian Daly a little bit further back in a more slightly relaxed position, and out of harm's way if anything should happen to these three.
Yes, now Vivian in 3rd and Eddie Irvine in 4th place may just pick up the bits and pieces if they can't get it settled, because one thing is for sure, Pat or Alan are going to have to put on a really, really hard push now, because we've got so few laps left, and Martin has held up the pressure tremendously well.
David, put yourself in the position of the 3rd car there. How would you be playing it
Well,
now?
it's extremely frustrating, really, because if Alan attacks Martin, Pat Duffy in 2nd place, all he's going to serve himself is a disservice, because he's going to let the leader get away. So really, he's got to protect himself from Vivian behind without putting too much pressure on the car just ahead of him, Pat Duffy, and hope that Pat will have some clean driving to pull himself up onto Martin Boyle.
Vivian Daly, triple Irish champion in 1984, has now decided it's time for him to get into this hunt. And we've now got 4 cars together, with number 18, Eddie Irvine, also closing. And there they go. They've now completed 12 laps of this 15-lap race, 3 to go, and they're going to be tremendous. The man who has to defend it all, Martin Boyle, in the lead.
Martin now didn't get out of the corner that well. I think Pat might have a good run at him now down on the way to Duckham's. Yes, he's fairly close, just possibly a half a car length, just too far to really get into it. Martin gets into this corner very well. You can see him pull out usually half a car's length through this section, but Pat is still with him. I think this could be a good one for Esso now. Again, Martin gets out of those corners exceptionally well. That just gives him the advantage he needs just to get a bit of breathing space on the straight.
Possibly the newer car's slightly better traction than the 6-year-old one.
It would appear so. The newer car generally would be better all around. In fact, a lighter car, the rose joints won't be worn. It'll be a good taut chassis. But Pat's certainly making up for any deficiencies that he has in his elder car.
We can see Eddie Irvine really having a try in the background there. He's trying desperately hard to get in contention with these leaders, but doesn't seem to be able to do it at the moment. Still the same 3 added. Vivian Daly moved back a little bit. Just let me remind you, it's 71 Martin Boyle, 44 Pat Duffy, and then 5 Alan McGarrity, and then behind that number 1 Vivian Daly and number 18 Eddie Irvine. They've now got 2 laps to go.
I think we're on for a bit of excitement down at Duckham's. There's nothing dividing these 3 cars. This 12-wheeled racing car. inside, outside, underside, over the top side. They're all over the place. Not a room for any one of them to make the slightest error. Martin Boyle still controlling the race at the front with his Mondiale. Second place, Pat Duffy in his Crossle. Third place, Alan McGarrity in his Crossle, the newest Crossle 60F. Lovely looking car, the Protector car sponsored white car, number 5, third place.
Oh, Pat Duffy gets it terribly sideways. This is Alan McGarrity's big chance, but he just wasn't quite close enough. He's going to have another go.
I think Pat's going to take the inside line and protect himself from any attack that Alan can lay on. And this is going to give Martin the chance that he needs just to get away. All he needs is another couple of cars' lengths, and really it'll be well nigh impossible for them to pull in that gap.
Well, as they go on to their last lap now, it looks like Martin Boyle has made the break just at the right time, but it's anybody's second place, and all those championships are at stake. The Motorvox Championship, the Ford of Ireland Championship, and all these three drivers very close in points. They must get it right, but Boyle has got the break when he needed it.
He's got the race in the bag. Bar a mechanical error or a really silly mistake, he's got the race in the bag. There's no way that Pat can pull in that kind of distance now. What's at stake here is the points for second place between Pat Duffy and Alan McGarrity. In the Shell Championship, Pat Duffy is in leading the championship with 39, with Alan McGarrity second on 37, and Martin Boyle at 35.
It's going to be Martin Boyle's race, surely, as they come up the hill for the last time into Dunlop. Number 71 in the Mondiale 84S, the very latest car from the County Down factory, which only started building racing cars last year. A superb victory for them. Number 71, Martin Boyle takes the checkered flag. 44, Pat Duffy in second place, Alan McGarrity third, Vivian Daly fourth, and then Eddie Irvine in fifth position. And then we have a very long